Welcome to another edition of Thought Leaders Live, where we talk with thought leaders in business, life, and all points in between. Today, we've got Sheana Hamill, host of Womanthology and the co-founder of the Podium Project, who's joining us. Sheana, so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you, Greg. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so you caught my eye when you posted about the Podium Project. And I reached out to you, and we'll get to what the Podium Project's all about. But really, what we wanted, the show title you picked is that visibility is infrastructure, how to engineer your own opportunity. And you've been very good at engineering your own opportunity. You're a fractional CMO, community architect, and you're co-founder of the Podium Project, which is a movement that helps women leaders to build visibility assets that really accelerate opportunity. And I can't wait to get into the details of the Podium Project. But Sheana, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your personal and professional journey?
Sure, yes, happy to. Um, so I came to where I am today by way of a 20-year corporate career in marketing. I fell into marketing really by accident. I had started working at a very small consulting firm where, I wore many hats, and marketing happened to be one of those areas that they really needed help in. And so that took me down that path. I was fortunate that the company was acquired by a much larger company that then opened up all these new opportunities for me. And I was always that first one, like raising my hand up for new things, new roles, new positions that I had no idea how to do. But I knew I had to take that chance. So I started in the energy industry by accident, and spent a great deal of time there across different sectors in energy, and then went into sort of adjacent industries like manufacturing, which is where you and I crossed paths originally, and then firmly into the tech space. And left corporate 4 years ago now, and I've been on my own, doing my own thing, and that's evolved, as you can tell. But I'm still working with a couple of small clients, which I really enjoy doing, um, and Podium Project, which has taken over taken over my life in a very good way.
Well, let's talk about the Podium Project and tell us about its genesis.
Yes, happy to. So, my co-founder Christine and I had met a couple years ago, and she's a cultural anthropologist. I am a marketer in all facets of marketing, brand being one of the main areas that I'm passionate about. And so we had been having these conversations around, how brand and culture are so tightly aligned, and need to be very strategically thought through,
Mhm.
right? And how that's a piece that's often missed by founders and CEOs and leadership teams. And it was just sort of a very organic conversation that then led to us talking about all the kind of inequalities that existed everywhere. So I had been involved with an organization called 50/50 Women on Boards, which is on a mission to get parity on boards across the US. Excuse me. So 50% representation by 2050, hence the name.
Hmm.
Um, and so we were talking about, how at corporations at different levels, there, even though D&I has taken a back seat in this day and age, there are still organizations and movements that are helping further equity, right, in different facets. But Christina and I had also been talking about, the conferences we had been attending and how we often were seeing all male panels on stages, also known as manels, and
I like that.
and just the disparity on stages that we see, right? And representation matters. So this concept for Podium Project came about through those conversations where we said, well, wouldn't it be great if we did something to further gender parity on stages? And as we had started having all these conversations around, the economic situation, the federal federal layoffs that took place last year, disproportionately affecting women of color. I think it was almost 500,000 Black women were laid off. And the tech industry is not doing any favors to women either. And so just sort of how, you know, we have been we have been kind of um, fed this belief that you put your head down and work hard and we'll get to where we need to get to, and that does work up to a certain point, but it's not the truth anymore, right? And then a lot of times people are left with, well, what's next? I haven't thought about how to engineer something around the value I bring because I have been so head down focused on what I bring to my company and corporate America. And so we were talking about how we wanted to change this and to provide real economic opportunity to women, and opportunity comes through visibility. And inherently, women are not very comfortable with being very visible unless we are representing a company and like on behalf of someone else. We're not very we're not comfortable talking about ourselves. There's layers and layers of um of of things that can go into that I feel like are learned behavior and things that we've been taught, but essentially this idea came about through conversations around all those topics. And once we decided, okay, we're going to do something about it, then it became, well, what should we do? And that then led to us creating a cohort for 12 women to get on a stage, and we decided to do a live event to get them on a stage in person, so that there would also be an audience that would come in and get inspired by these women's stories, but also provide feedback, which actually a lot of emerging speakers and those who want to go into public speaking don't have the opportunity for feedback and testimonials. And we wanted to be able to provide that and provide a very empowering day. So we filled it with vendors who are exhibitors from women and minority owned companies that were on site, and just really made it a very, an empowering day. Um, and then the entire concept was built around providing these assets for these women to then create opportunities, to create more opportunities. And originally we had thought, okay, we want to get more women paid speakers. We want to get more women on stages and compensated fairly, or compensated at all. In some cases, we're not. And what we realized, though, is that there's more to this. It's not just about paid speaking opportunities. There's also a lot of women who are leaving corporate America and wondering what next and not sure how to brand themselves. Podium Project is a huge opportunity for that. Female entrepreneurs who have also been head down building their own company brands and but been in the trenches and haven't really done anything around themselves and are now thinking of, legacy work and things like that and impact. So we really attracted a broad audience of women. I will say the majority are still wanting to do paid speaking. And getting these assets is really, it's not easy. There's not only a heavy financial lift to getting these, but it's overwhelming to get a recorded video of your talk, to get a 2-minute speaker reel that's edited, fully customized, branded, B-roll, branding, photography, headshots, a one pager. It's so difficult, and we have created this very easy package that we are providing women. So that's a very long answer to what you asked for.
No, before we get into the event, take me into the mechanics of the assets. So what happens with the speaker? What do they do and what do they get out of it?
Yes, so they for this first one, they prepared a TEDx style talk that was 5 minutes long, 5 to 6 minutes, and they go on stage. They do their talk. There's slides. There's screens available, so they can use slides or elect not to. Most did, and they're recorded from 3-angle video cameras so that we can get multiple angles, and then that translates to a fully edited video of their talk, and then from there, based on what their goals are, we also create a speaker reel. It's also known as a sizzle reel or a demo reel in the speaker world. That's created for them as well. So there's a branding element that comes into that version, which we then also incorporate into their one sheet. Again, we want the messaging, the branding, everything very consistent between all these assets. And then we have a photographer on site, both for 2 photographers, one for the event, and then a separate photographer set up to do headshots and branding photos, lifestyle photos, all the things. So it was a very tight day of activity, getting women from station to station, because we also had hair and makeup on site bright and early in the morning. We tried to think through every element to make this an excellent experience.
And so do the women pay to present and pay for the package? And then is there also people, it's open to the public, or do people pay to attend the event and network and things like that?
Yes, so the 12 speakers did pay for their assets. Um, uh, it was a very nominal fee compared to, I'm sure you know what it costs to get all these different things. I've talked to women who've paid anywhere from 10,000 upwards of 35,000 for all of these different elements. We charged under 4,000 to provide all this.
Wow.
And we, again, our ethos is around providing more access and economic opportunities. So we were deliberately trying to keep the price as low as possible. And we provided a 24-month payment plan for those who might not, be able to pay that up front. We are very committed to doing to setting up scholarship opportunities for future cohorts. We did actually have one scholarship recipient for this one, and we would love to grow that. Love that. So yeah, it was. I mean, I'm still. It's been over a month now. I'm still kind of on a high.
I bet you are. That's amazing, and I love the package, the benefit to the speaker, the benefit to the networking community, women at large. I mean, tell me a little bit about how many people attended. What was the event like?
Yeah, so we had about 125 people in attendance, which is decent.
Yeah.
We had hoped for about 150, so we were not too far off. Um, they did, to your earlier question, there was a fee to attend. You know, we provided lunch and like all of the things, and um, as we this was very much a build the plane as you fly it experience. And so as we started going through it, we realized that we maybe underpriced the package slightly, and we needed to recoup all the expenses that we were incurring. So we did charge for attendance. But again, you know, we provided very nominal price for, say, students and those who were unemployed to be able to come, because we never want access to be a barrier. And Yeah, about 125 people showed up. We were just amazed. And I think that really, I heard more than one speaker say how honored and grateful they were that people came to watch them. So that really made an impact.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. And what did you think some of the attendees who were there, what were some of the reasons why they showed up?
I think some of it had to do with like they were I think there was an element of like curiosity. What is this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There were also some women, I think, who were interested in this concept, but wanted to find out more before they invested maybe in the next cohort. And we did get a lot of interest from attendees applying for the next cohort. Um, I think there were people wanting to support our speakers. So, you know, friends, family, our speakers were really incredible, just very influential, like incredible, accomplished women. And so they were a draw in and of themselves, where
Wow.
people wanted to come and hear them speak and meet them. We also had two keynotes, so they were a big draw as well. They also came in from out of town. We were just blown away by the demand for it. We thought, you know, surely Houston's big enough. We'll have people from across Houston, but no, we had three women come in from California, one from Florida as speakers.
Wow.
Our one keynote was from California, and the other was traveled from Dallas.
Okay. Okay. So tell me why this is all necessary. So if we get into the visibility and the importance of visibility as you kind of create your own, you engineer your own opportunity. Why is this building your own stage? You know, that's one of the key points we want to touch on. Why does this change the power dynamic?
Yeah, so I actually love that question, because I think, you know, the power dynamic and the way things are, the status quo was built around systems, to my earlier point on, you know, corporate America and climbing that ladder. Those were built around very specific things that, you know, you sort of either go down that path, you can't veer off that, right? Like
Hmm.
there's no gray. You you sort of have to stay down that path to get to where you have to go to. And even then, you don't know, because a
Right.
lot of that is out of your control. Are you
Yeah.
going to get promoted? Are you going to get a raise? You don't know. A lot of times, you could do the best job. You could have a fabulous performance review and you still don't get the promotion or the raise, right? Because it's out of your control. And I'm really advocating for people, not just women, but primarily women, because we've been taught so much to rely on this corporate narrative. And I'm saying take control of that, create your own personal brand, go on the stages that you're invited to go onto, build your own. In this case, like, I build womenthology for that very reason too. I realized all these women in my community were, I don't know if they're too afraid, too shy. I think that narrative around, like, you have to be humble and not brag about yourself and all that still rings true. And I was thinking, no, your story has to be told, right? There are people who will benefit from this. Um, and that has been just my driver, is to just pull this, like, tease all of this out of people, because I see the benefit. And, in this day and age with social media, with, everything is digital, visibility is currency, and it creates all this opportunity. So if you are not being visible for yourself, you're limiting opportunity that you are not in control of.
You mentioned visibility becomes leverage when it's intentional and strategic. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think what I mean by that is really kind of considering where you want to go and architecting, like, being strategic about architecting that path, because you are able to do that. I don't think people realize how possible that is. And so, if you are wanting to become a paid speaker and you're not either getting paid to speak, or you're not getting invited to speak at all, um, something like the Podium Project, creating your own live stream like you are doing, Greg. There are so many platforms and opportunities out there where you can do it yourself, right? Um, Similarly, if you have other goals, like, really depending on your goal, architecting that path, it's easier than people think.
And I think it's also builds this kind of mindset that maybe a lot of other people don't have. I remember I was working in a corporate job and I had kind of bounced around before that and taken on different roles and at different companies. And I remember this guy had been at the company for a long time and there was a layoff. And they said, everybody in this room, you're getting laid off,
Right.
and I was just like, "Man, well, I'll go find something new."
Sure.
And this guy just put his head down on the desk. And I mean, of course, everybody was sad, but I could tell he was defeated. Like, he had no idea what would come next. And I think what you're doing and what you're helping women understand is that you can create something. You don't have to wait for it. So talk to me a little bit, Shanna, about how to create this opportunity in uncertain environments, especially the ones we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly not easy, because I think a lot of people, there's the fear of the unknown, right? Um, but I think it's doing the thing through the fear. So I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, I did this, what is it called? Where you vision boarding. It's a group vision boarding exercise. held globally for women in tech. 503 women, people actually, there were men too, participated live, and we got into the Guinness Book of World Records. And yes, so I'm officially in the Guinness Book of World Records for this
For
feat.
what was the record?
It was a vision boarding exercise done globally at
What's
the
vision
same
what
time.
what's vision boarding?
So it's creating a vision board around what you want for that year and what you're going after.
Okay.
Typically, it's done at the start of the year, the beginning of the year as you're looking ahead. And so I believe this was the beginning of 2024 that this happened. So
Okay.
I'm unless someone else has done it and broken a record of 503 people, we're still in there. but but I had put on there that I really wanted to do more video. And in video, I'm not a fan of seeing myself on video. And I am as most of us are, we are our own biggest critics.
Sure.
And I also wanted to get better at interviewing people. It was a skill I hadn't honed as much through my career, and I just wanted to improve. And so I had put on that vision board that I was going to do more video. I was going to do these videos, these types of interviews. And 2025 came around and I looked at it. I was like, I have done none of these things. I mean, there were other things I had done, thankfully, but
Sure.
those specific things I had not done. And when I look back, the reason was I was still tweaking the branding. I was still wanting the messaging to be perfect. I wanted
Yeah.
to set like all the things that we, self-sabotage on because we are perfectionists at heart, I think. So I call myself a recovering perfectionist for that reason also.
Like that.
Is I was so I don't know if it was embarrassment. I just felt like, why did I waste a whole year for this? And
Hmm.
so I contacted a friend. I said, "Hey, I'd love for you to be on my next LinkedIn Live series. Will you do it?" She said, "No." I twisted her arm and I made her do it. And I, got on Canva, created a graphic, set it up, and it was on. It was live and I couldn't back out of it.
There you go.
So, and I was, terrified. I was uncomfortable. If I look back at those early ones, I was terrible at them. And you're going to be terrible at the first few things you do. And
Yeah,
that's okay because it's okay.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, and
Um,
you're probably not as terrible as you think as well.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes we almost need permission. I had that from a few of our podium project speakers where before they signed on, they said, "Should I do this?"
Oh, sure.
And I said, "Yes, you definitely should." And and I think if people come to you, encourage them. I would really ask everyone to look at their sphere of influence and power and make that difference in helping people overcome some of that fear.
That's an interesting choice of words there. They asked for permission. Some might consider that, and maybe this is from a man's perspective, that we would need encouragement. You frame it as permission. And I think that it's just that kind of reassurance that it's okay and that yes, you can and yes, you should. But the word permission, I think, is something for a lot of people to keep in mind that it's okay and let people know and reinforce that. And I think Shanna, you are doing an amazing job with this podium project. I This to me is such an amazing knock it out of the park idea because I think a lot of what you're talking about is those branding assets that is a kind of a barrier to entry to really, and you are taking that down and then building people up just with this initial launch. I mean, holy cow, what a springboard you are creating. So you mentioned, and we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to kind of wind it up. But you mentioned there's possibilities for more podium projects in the future. Can you just tell us about that as we kind of close up the show?
Sure, yeah, happy to. So we opened up our interest form for speakers wanting to do this for our next cohort. We are my co-founder and I are currently working through dates, venues, location. There will be another one, at least one more, hopefully many, many more coming. We're also talking with potential partners. We're very interested in partnering up with corporations who might
Sure.
want to put their female leaders through this program
Wow.
and get them set up for success and create maybe a whole event for the company around podium project where employees can attend and support, and I think it will be a phenomenal experience. So a lot of things in play, but if you go to our website podium-project.com, there you can basically indicate your interest for the next one, and we'll definitely be in touch once plans are more firmed up.
Well, Sheana Hamill, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of LinkedIn Live. And I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for the people who participate in the Podium Project. Kudos to you for creating your own opportunity
Yeah.
and making something happen. You are the perfect role model for the Podium Project.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who joined.
And that concludes another episode of Thought Leaders Live. We will talk to you on the next show. Thank you so much for joining.